So before we get started, and Lynn really gets into the details about how we go about, increasing capacity remotely for SDRs, I'd like to just share a quick story. It's a real life story that literally happened 2 weeks ago. So about 9 months ago, we were setting on average 106 meetings a week for our clients. These are sales qualified, outbound meetings with members of their buying team. And our average was 106. And we knew we needed to increase capacity. So since then, we have actually increased our employee count by about a third. But what's really important to note is we've actually only increased our management team by one person. So 2 weeks ago, Lynn announced, guys, this is the week. We've had 200 meetings a week on our radar for about 2 months now. And 2 weeks ago, Lynn said, this is the week that we are going to hit 200. So this is what happened. This is Lynn's Slack to our team. These are, just a small sample of the Slacks that came in afterwards. And on Friday, we were literally at 1 o'clock, 25 meetings to go to actually hit that 200, that magic number of 200. She's innovative. We had a countdown. So with each meeting that was set, another meeting, the countdown getting lower and lower as the day was going on. And, this is kind of what ensued on our Slack channel for 2 straight days. I run sales at DemandZen, and I'm sitting here on sales call after sales call, back-to-back Zoom meetings all day. And I'm so distracted because I'm just staring at Slack, watching for the meetings to come in. And at 4 o'clock or so, we actually set the 200 meetings, which was, amazing. And you could hear the high fives and the pats on the back. Even though we were not all together, you could actually feel that from our virtual offices. Has not had to say that everyone at DemandZen felt it. And so that's kind of a preface to what we're starting with. Lynn?
Yeah, so to Amanda's point, the reason why that story is important to tell our story about increasing management capacity in a remote world is because we were able to hit our goal while only adding one additional manager onto our staff. That doesn't mean that we overwork our managers. We didn't continue to pile work on, but we've changed our culture in that we're not micromanaging our employees. We believe in empowering our employees through encouragement and engagement, and that does lend to a lot more results from them because they have skin in the game.
Yeah. So a little bit about the way we do it. So Slack is our epicenter. Slack is our sales pit, which people just don't have these days. This is like a normal day at DemandZen. We've integrated Salesforce with Slack. So when meetings are scheduled in real time, they show up in the meeting scheduled channel. When meetings are held, they show up in the meetings held channel. Lynn, talk more about that.
Yeah, sure. So again, if we look at back eons ago, and obviously I'm probably talking about myself because many of you are probably much younger than me, but in the old world of the sales pit, when somebody would ring a bell, when something would be a KPI was met or a goal was met, this is our sales pit to a man point. So we are the complete epicenter of what we do is in Slack. And it really feels like I've made connections with people closer than people I had in-person jobs with. And again, why that's important is because we're engaging and encouraging our employees to take and empowering them, and they feel part of a community. And that does increase our management capacity because of the fact that they do not need to micromanage.
Right. So Lynn, why don't you talk a little bit about the various competitions and stuff that we do on Slack?
Sure. So it's we've kind of created our own little, I don't even know, it's kind of a Slack world, DemandZen world. You can get lost if you needed to, but our calling team or SDR team is split into five very unique teams. They're led by a program manager and also a master caller. They help manage the day-to-day activity of that particular team with a specific set of clients. Those teams will hold individual engagement activities throughout the day. Games, we play bingo, we play hangman, scavenger hunts where we feel like if the energy is low, hey, go run and find a ketchup bottle, for example. And whoever wins, we have a micro bonusing platform called Bonusly that you're able to give your coworkers, hey, a pat on the back in the form of what we call Bonusly points, Zen bucks. And then they can trade those in for Amazon gift cards. You can give to a charity. And why that works for us is because, again, it's turned into a game. What we do is a grind. Let's be frank. Dialing 150, 200 times a day can be draining. So we know it's important to keep the energy up. And in order to do that, we do play the games. We've had games where we've given away an Apple Watch, for example. The 200 meeting goal, one of the reasons why people were so engaged with it is because when they met that, which was we got 211, by the way. But when we met that goal, we promised that Amanda, myself, and Bart, the other co-founder, would get on the call and for half a day, be cold callers for half a day, even though we've done it in our past, and people could see it live. So they're all very excited to see us engage in that. Little contests seem to really, really motivate.
Yeah, and another big part of this is our product is our people. So managing the KPIs, while it's important, that's really not going to get you to where you need to be. We put a lot of emphasis on understanding what motivates the team in general. So one of our tools is Office Vibe. It's anonymous employee feedback where we get good and bad feedback and can take that to the various management teams and convert that into real life learnings and implementations. Lynn, do you want to talk a little bit about the cadence, the meeting cadence, and how we go about that, our one-on-ones and such?
Sure. So we do, our managers are again in contact with their prospective direct reports, obviously daily, hourly, through Slack, conversations, impromptu conversations as needed. But we definitely do have a weekly cadence where our managers have one-on-ones with their direct reports. Why that's important is not only to talk about how their past week was or what they're going to be doing the week before, but we also believe in helping develop our callers so they have something to look forward to. So we're helping develop their career track. Where do you see yourself in a year? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? We really feel like that's important to form the connection between a manager and a direct report, because let's face it, people work. Work is much more pleasant when you're working with somebody that you feel like gets you. So we do have a program here at DemandZen, quote unquote, the DemandZen Dream program, that the direct reports talk to the managers to the direct reports specifically about personal dreams, professional dreams that they have, and so that they have a sounding board. We know that we could potentially be, developing people outside of, so they grow out of DemandZen, and that's okay, because we want to have a culture of growth.
So I'm going to see if I can unshare my screen now. I'm not quite sure how to do that.
So while Amanda's doing that, I do notice we're talking a lot about, in the chat about the bell and things like that. The reason for me bringing it up is just kind of a comparison. We like to celebrate small successes with our team, but we don't like it's not a high pressure, pit kind of thing, if that makes sense. So we're not on top of people saying set. We just really like to celebrate their small wins and big wins.
Yeah, so I guess now we maybe should just open it up for questions.
So I'm not really sure how questions work in this particular format, and I apologize for that. I'm kind of looking at the chat to see if we can identify anything that we might want to talk about. There goes Christina.
So it'll be right at just right on the right side. There you go. There's someone here.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
So as far as how many reps we have for the 200 meetings, right now we're ramping up some people that are still in our onboarding where we have a training group. But for tenured reps who are in our actual calling, it's right around 31 reps for 200 meetings a week. And how do we format our one-on-ones? So we do have a specific format where we're talking about, actually what are your goals? We're talking about things that they feel like they can improve on. So what's important that really led into our culture is the one-on-ones are employee-led. They are not manager-led. A manager's not sitting there talking to their employee. The employee feels heard. We want to make sure that we're giving them what they need. And the format is, again, sometimes you have one-on-ones with a manager. I know I have in the past, and it kind of feels like you get these things in the pit of your stomach where you're nervous. Oh gosh, what's he going to say today? But it's not punitive in any nature. We really like to encourage, and not that being said, we're not coddling people, but we really do like to encourage and have those one-on-ones employee-led. I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, just shoot anything that you want in particular.
Yeah, and there's another question here. I think it just went away. It said something about, what's the format? Is it over communicating, under communicating? How do you find a good balance?
Mm-hmm. So, would you like me to answer that, Amanda?
Yeah. Yes.
By the way, Amanda's feeling a little under the weather, so she asked me to join today, and I thank you for the opportunity. But coaching looks like as far as you remove remote full time, the coaching is about, again, employee-led, keeping them excited about their own development. Over communicating can happen, but as long as your employees feel as if it's an open door policy and they can know. Each employee is going to have a different level of communication that's important to them. Some thrive on over communication. They need that support. And others do really, really well in independent. So we just really try to manage based on what they need, as long as they feel like, as long as their production is where it needs to be.
Yeah, and somebody was asking what coaching looks like as you move fully remote. What tools are you seeing success with, that kind of thing? Or earlier, someone said, what do you use for anonymous feedback? And we use Office Vibe. So it's a Canadian company. We've been using them for, I guess, the last 6 or 7 years. But there is another question in regards to how we format one-on-ones, and I can share that, Lynn, and you can kind of talk through it with the group. Mm-hmm. But let's see here, share. Here we go. There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah, so these are the questions that the direct manager is going to be talking to their manager is going to be talking to the direct reports through. You don't want to talk about an open-ended question. Again, this is the way that's formatted. We really make sure that we're kind of following this loosely. We talk about celebrating wins. We want to start out on a high note. What did you learn last week? What did you implement that helped you be successful? Removing roadblocks. We talk about what is helping you. How can I, as your manager, help you be successful? And we again believe in that two-way street. Two-way evaluation and feedback. I want my direct reports to also evaluate me as a manager. Am I meeting your needs? And how can I help you get to where you need to be? Because we have a commission structure that's uncapped, people are generally motivated by that. And as long as a meeting is held, they get a quote unquote commission for that. So that really does motivate people. And what we try to manage around is, so where do you want to be financially? How can we help you meet that goal, given that our commission structure is uncapped? open discussion, obviously that's self-explanatory, follow-up, and then action items, which are really, really important. We want to hold each other accountable. I want my employees to hold me accountable just as I hold them accountable. If they've asked for help, and I want them to be accountable for providing that help.
Yeah. Let's see if there are other questions. Are there any professional backgrounds you look for? These messages keep disappearing. Christina, is there a way to get them? Any professional backgrounds you look for when hiring new reps? So we use a personality screening test first and foremost.
So we do. I mean, we have a partner. We also have that helps us with recruiting. We have a specific criteria that we're looking for because appointment setting can be of a grind. We really want to make sure that people have an idea what they're getting into. So ideally, it would be that they would have a background in SDR work and or appointment setting. So that would be the professional background, specifically in the tech world. We know we can't always get that, and we have really successful lately with hiring people with drive and a good personality, and so they've been wildly successful. So it's not always one. We do have a custom personality test kind of built that is our baseline that helps us determine the best qualities and types of people that we're looking for as far as outgoing and how rapid problem solving and things of that nature.
And so how do you manage meetings held versus creating opportunities?
So that's really up to our clients, to be honest with you. So when we set up a meeting with our clients, we send it over to them. We create an opportunity in our own Salesforce because our currency is appointments. So it's an opportunity for us. Our clients, we help them work through their specific. How can we help them move through the funnel? Because let's face it, a lot of our clients come to us and they're new to this, or they may not have worked, something that they've done. We do partner with them very, very closely in opportunities, helping them move the appointments that we set, the qualified meetings that they set through the pipeline, so they can create opportunities.
Cool. And so, compare industry best practices of using hot live inbound leads or waiting until the client forwards their latest leads.
Amanda has a really strong opinion on that. So go ahead, Amanda.
What I will say is oftentimes clients will forward their inbound leads to us. And while we love that, sadly, 50 to 80% of those leads are bad. So what we do is we take those leads and we scrub them, we add net new and go after the real people versus the interns that often make that inbound list. So I would love a good inbound list if anyone has one. Yeah. So in that initial meeting, if the prospect tells us no budget, still counts as an opportunity.
So what we're doing oftentimes, I've explained this in the what we are to the tech world is it's like Match.com. We get you the first date, but it's up to our clients to get married. So, when you go on Match.com, you kind of say, hey, this is the type of person I'm looking for. Exactly what our clients do. They give us an ICP, what type of people they're looking for. We get them in front of members of the buying team. We have a conversation with them so everybody knows why they're meeting and that they do have a true interest. Yeah. Then the client kind of takes it from there.
Yeah. And so, Paul Rocco, I believe you posed this question. Sales qualified leads are defined DemandZen as need and authority, and cold outbound calls to ask budget is a death star. Like, you might as well just put a nail right in that coffin. It's very rare that you can ask for budget and a cold outbound lead, because honestly, you've established what's the right word? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is it's more educational and consulting in nature. Are they the right person? Do they have the right environment? Do they have authority and a need? So, how do you help SDRs manage different accounts, different personas, campaigns?
So I wonder if that's around our tech stack. I can give you a little bit of background there. We do have a tech stack that separates our clients' data, keep them siloed between each other. So they're separated into campaigns. And our SDRs are, we seed the list with some research that we've done prior and give them a very clear idea. They sit through training with our clients, they sit through training with us, and very, very clear idea as far as what the client's ideal customer persona is. And that helps manage. We do have, on top of Salesforce, we have a dialer that sits on top of it, FrontSpin, that has our contacts and accounts split into lists for our callers based on account.
Okay, and what's the best skill set you've developed over time that you would suggest a new SDR leader to work on early in their role, early in their career?
For me, I always tell people who are looking to grow into the lead is to be a leader before you have the title. So I think that's huge. I think it's important for people to stand out and always, the skill set is not, how to scrub a list or how to set appointments. It's really being a leader and having a network that believes in you.
Oh, our friend Jacob at Rightbound says, are there any professional backgrounds that you look for when hiring new reps?
We just answered that one for him. Yeah. Hi, Jacob.
He said, sorry, I've already covered that. I was a little late. Have you read Self as Coach, Self as Leader? If so, would you recommend as a new leader?
I've not read that. Have you, Amanda?
No.
But
and Bart will put it in our list. Let's see here. What does coaching look like as move remote full time? Well, I think we've answered that as well. Compare your first cold call to leading an army of callers and talk about your perspective. I'll tell you my first cold call. I was a recruiter and I did cold calling to get people to leave their job in B2B tech and technology positions. And 2000 and whatever happened, and it was a terrible time in our army, and all of my recruiting clients went on hiring freezes. So a VP of sales for one of my recruiting clients had come down to Georgia. There's this startup out of Georgia Tech's Botnet Venture Labs. It was a security company. They had a one-page static website, and I knew nothing but monster.com. So I called their chief security architect, and I basically kind of ad-libbed their static website and scheduled a meeting with the chief security architect at monster.com. So I think it's all about using your brain when you're talking to people. We're not robots or humans. Our product as a services business is our people, and we have to equip people to be able to use their brains. It's not just dialing like wild monkeys down a list. It's really thinking about who you're talking to and the message that you're presenting.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
How many accounts does each SDR have or should have?
So accounts, I can answer that. It kind of depends on the particular campaign, to be honest with you. And we're really kind of depends. Again, we have our SDRs are generally split against maybe two campaigns, two clients. So they kind of fights against, being stale on one. But we don't have a set amount, to be honest with you. If we were working specifically for one client, which I have in the past, I would say if I had one SDR, and I would say around 300, somewhere around there, so that the various stages, if they're heavy dialers. If they're not, and they're large companies that they're navigating through, 150 would be fine.
Okay, so I think time for one more question. What's the best skill set you've developed over time that you would suggest a new sales development leader to work on early in their role? Did I already say this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you help SDRs manage different accounts personas? Absolutely. Then.
Yes, we do. So that's kind of we answered that earlier about how do we manage those our tech stack. That's kind of what we talked about, our dialer and things like that.
Cool. Right.
If anybody has any additional questions, feel free to reach out to both Amanda and I on LinkedIn. If connect, we can answer any questions that we'd like to, or that you'd like. We're open book. Yeah.
Yeah. So someone is asking live coaching on calls. So we absolutely do, all of that fun tech stuff where we're listening to calls and reviewing calls and all of that great stuff. However, I don't know. It's pretty intrusive to give coaching live. That said, it's not that we don't do it. It's we'd prefer to kind of take those calls, listen to those calls, and talk one-on-one, do the individual and get better that way. Lynn, thoughts?
I agree. I 100% agree. I don't want our employees to feel like Big Brother's always watching them. So we only do it in a rare instance, but we do listen to all of our calls, appointments prior to sending them over to our clients. Make sure they're qualified.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was fun.
Hey, Amanda and Lynn, I wanted to just drop in real quick. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can.
Okay. Hey, first of all, thank
Hi.
you so much. I was kind of slothily and anonymous in the background, but thank you for sharing your wisdom and coming on and helping us out here. So that was a great talk.
Thank you.
Right.
Definitely, everybody head over to the arena. The booths are open for Lead IQ, Outreach, VanillaSoft, and Chronologic. And we'll see you in the next session. Amanda and Lynn, thanks again for coming on. And everyone, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.